There's a man many of you may be familiar with. His name is Dennis Prager. However, you know as well as I do that Dennis Prager is a family man. You know, he's a God-fearing family man. Dagnabbit.
Any idea how I can pay my utility bills with big rock rings? This is a request for financial advice. S.
That is one letter away from being a very sussy question. Thank you for the $10 dono. I appreciate it. There we go. We got 55. That is another piece of content on the docket for you guys. Guys, Dennis Prager is a family man. He's been married multiple times. He has kids. And wouldn't you know it, one of them wants to follow in Dad's footsteps. And he is. Dennis Prager's son makes conservative reactionary content. And we're going to watch one of his videos. Specifically the one called Repopulation Rates and the Left's Plan. I want to know what the left's plan is. As somebody on the left, what is its plan and what does it have to do with repopulation rates? Let's go.
Birth rates are the buzz this morning. The latest info from the CDC showing that birth rates in the United States.
He does a show called AP Unfiltered.
States ticked down slightly in 2022. Disappointing after an increase in 21, and they still haven't returned to pre-pandemic levels. Big part of the story. People are waiting until later in life to have kids, with women.
Wait, what? Wait, I'm sorry, just real quick. I wonder what might have happened during COVID that would have led to fewer people having kids. I wonder if it was everyone isolating and staying inside for 2 or 3 years. Well, better not dwell on that. Let's go.
In 2022, disappointing after an increase in 21. And they still haven't returned to pre-pandemic levels. Big part of the story, people are waiting until later in life to have kids, with women 35 and older seeing their highest rates since the 1960s. And then on the flip side, teenage births falling to a record low. But when you add up all the data, and this is kind of the depressing part, Carl, our fertility rate is below the replacement threshold. It's been that way for several years, since 2007.
Yeah, that's why would anyone get depressed over this? In what way is this depressing news to you? People are having fewer babies. How does this depress you?
Which is basically the level our generation needs to replace itself.
Well, that doesn't sound like good information.
I did not pre-watch this, but I do have to say, Dennis Prager's son looks like an evil version of the Humanist Report. This is him. This is him. It's Evil Mike. It's Evil Mike. Send this to Mike. Oh, I will. I will be doing that. Or you guys could. I don't mind. But I couldn't believe it. And I had to like double check that this was actually his son, and it is. Dennis Prager has done a video with him where that's labeled like father and son talking about something or whatever. I can't remember what the name of the video is, but I do remember the first part was the father and son. This is actually, honest to God, Dennis Prager's son. Someone take a screen grab. It's oh God.
That doesn't sound like good information.
I believe his name is Aaron Prager, hence AP.
Folks, before I start the show, head on over to mypatriotcigars.com. You know it.
Oh my God. He's selling cigars. Are you fucking kidding me? Bizarro Sam I don't think he looks like Sam Cedar. I think he looks like Evil Mike. Okay? I need a better picture of Mike to compare and contrast. Mike, you need to post more selfies. It's Nega Mike. Maybe Instagram? Yeah, here we go. Yeah. This is just he's just evil humanist report. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Anyway.
What? You know what's going to happen at the beginning of this video. Be sure to use promo code APU for 25% off your entire order at checkout. Pick some up for yourself, for some loved ones, and with the holidays right around the corner, pick one up for a deployed service member to make their holiday even that much more special. But be sure to use promo code APU for 25% off at checkout.
Drago, thank you for gifting Rockful a sub.
Take this W, you beautiful
more
being.
Aw, that's really kind of you, Drago.
Live births after the fall of Roe v. Wade. Approximately 32,000 babies in the U.S. were born this year that may have otherwise been aborted, according to a study from the...
I mean, I do have more... I guess technically this is me platforming him. Like, I have 3 times the amount of subscribers he has. But, this is wild. This is from a month ago.
Institute of Labor Economics. The study was conducted after the fall of Roe v. Wade last summer, a 1973 Supreme Court decision that had invented the quote-unquote right to abortion. A lot of people didn't realize this, but there was no right to an abortion. This was fabrication. This was law made up, essentially, but there was no right via the Constitution that had this in place. So we got to be clear on that at the outset. The purpose of this...
It is true that there is no part of the Constitution that says, and women have the right to get abortions. That is true. But there's also a lot of rights not codified in the Constitution that we still have rights to, which is what SCOTUS ruled on when it came down to Roe v. Wade.
The study was to figure out how post-Roe abortion bans are affecting fertility, with researchers using provisional state residential birth counts to estimate how births are changing in states that have outlawed abortion relative to pro-abortion states. Quote, our primary analysis indicates that in the first 6 months of 2023, births rose by an average of 2.3% in states enforcing total abortion bans compared to a control group of states where abortion rights remained protected, amounting to approximately 32,000 additional annual births resulting from abortion bans. Something I want to point out at the outset too. The video I showed at the beginning is talking about replacement rates, okay? Replacement rates. What do you need for a replacement rate? You need to have 2 people, because it takes 2 people to create a child, to have 2 children. That will replace the existing 2, right? 2 people are alive, 2 people died, but they have procreated 2 people. What this is...
Yep. That is how replacing something works. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Talking about now in Roe v. Wade, the overturning of it has instituted is you see a lot of more babies being born. 2.3% in states enforcing total abortion bans is what the article is stating here, with the opposite happening in states where abortion rights remain protected, which could mean anything from, if you look at some blue states, up until the point of birth at any time in between that they still allow for abortions. But the replacement rate is something important to think about, because when you look at a society, there are a lot of driving factors to how the society will sustain itself, and a big part of that is population. What is their population rate? I did a simple Google search to find out what fertility and repopulation rates were, and this is what I found. You can see here that you have 1.6...
Well, Foxbat, that assumes that Republicans give a shit if mothers die. They don't.
6.4 births per woman. I'm assuming that they mean couple, and that because it takes 2 to tango, obviously. And if you look onto the right side of the screen, you'll also see where it says Japan, Mexico, and the world. Japan is staggeringly low at 1.34, Mexico at 1.9, and the world hovering just above 2. And this is of 2020. It shows you very clearly that even since the pandemic...
Bat out the white names to scare conservatives.
Oh, Drago, thank you very much for gifting Foxbat a sub. I appreciate it immensely. Helping me to live here, helping chat get more delicious content to nibble on. Again, he continues to worry. All of the stats about like low birth rate that he's citing here come from 2020. What was happening in 2020, I wonder, that might lower birth rates? Probably a thing called COVID. Also, even if you're like, okay, well that's real serious, the world birth rate was still above replacement. It's still getting bigger. Also, we have billions of people. If there are fewer people, that's not necessarily the colossal problem here.
Pandemic and post-pandemic levels have continued to go down significantly. So the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which essentially just basically said, hey, the federal government cannot make this decision anymore. It's going to revert back to the states. If you live in, let's say, West Virginia, you'll have some laws. If you live in California, you'll have some laws. If you live in New York, you'll have some laws, and they'll vary state to state. And just fun to point out here at the moment where everybody in California was freaking out about, oh, we're not going to be able to get an abortion in California. Nobody in California was ever in danger. Let's be real about this, of being in danger of not being able to get an abortion.
Except that conservatives, now that Roe v. Wade is gone, are trying to make a federal abortion ban. Like, that's not even a secret. Like, they're openly talking about needing a federal ban on abortion. Like, you can just Google Republican federal abortion ban. Like, that's what people in California were worried about. Even if their state was safe, it's only for the moment. Also, you'd have to, like, take into account the fact that, like, I don't know, sometimes people in one state still care about the welfare and well-being of people in other states. Just out of common human decency. And, like, forcing people in other states to give birth against their will is pretty fucking monstrous as far as, like, state violence goes.
The authors of the study appear to view 32,000 extra births as negative news, suggesting evidence points to, quote, diminished abortion access that, quote, poses a risk to the health and financial stability of vulnerable populations. That part.
Wait. Yeah. Authors of the study appear to view 32,000 extra births as negative news, suggesting evidence points towards diminished abortion access that poses a risk to the health and financial stability of vulnerable populations. Yeah. Like, if what they're seeing is 32,000 people being forced to go through with a pregnancy that they wouldn't otherwise go through. And being pregnant and giving birth is life-threatening. So, like, you force them to risk their lives in order to go through this process, risk their lives, risk their health to go through this process, and also, like, if they have to, like, take care of this creature, this being now, this baby, once it's born, they don't have the resources to do it. Or they've been raped and now they have to carry the baby to term. Because any of the states that have those exceptions, again, I don't know how many of you have ever, like, followed the case of a rapist through court. It takes a long ass time to convict somebody of rape. And confirm that a rape happened. It takes a long time to convict somebody in a court of law to confirm that, like, an incestuous abuse happened. Like, the exceptions don't actually exist. So you're forcing, like, children to give birth. You're forcing, teenagers who are just barely out of high school to give birth, changing their entire trajectory. Because now, oh, wait, they don't have the money to go to college. You are also forcing them against their will to give birth, violating their bodily autonomy in order to make this happen. You are getting between them and their doctor to make their choice for them, and that's monstrous.
Quote, poses a risk to the health and financial stability of vulnerable populations. That part there, and I want to read it again, folks. The authors of the study appear to view 32,000 extra births as negative news, suggesting evidence points to, quote, diminished abortion access that poses a risk to the health and financial stability of vulnerable populations. They're very clear about this. There's one party and one group of people who want to see life flourish, and there's another side, the opposite side of that coin, that want to see lives destroyed. Okay? And
Like I know people who have reported rapes and sexual assaults to police, only to have police like laugh at them or just like shrug and be like, "Oh, that's too bad. We can't do anything about that." Like, how are people in that position supposed to then go and pursue an abortion even if there's an exception? Like,
and they like to hide it under the guise of, oh, well, the family isn't ready for the kid. Oh, it's a vulnerable population. They're financially unstable. One thing I know is that people have the tenacity to rise to occasions when called upon. To say that people
okay, give me all of your money. You know, sign yourself out of your father's will. Okay, sign it all over to me. Well, you know, I believe you can rise to the occasion. Off-brand dollar store Mike.
can't, it's extremely patronizing and, quite frankly, I think a little bit insulting to say, hey, wait a second, you got yourself into a situation. Oh, because of X, Y, and Z, you're a victim now, and we need to have Big Daddy government come.
Well, no, the Big Daddy government isn't coming in to bail you out. You would have otherwise just gone and gotten an abortion. If the people relying on Big Daddy government to come in are conservatives. Conservatives are bringing in the Big Daddy government in order to shut down abortion clinics and to punish women who go and get abortions. Like that's what conservatives are doing.
Come in and use subsidized dollars in order to take care of you, rather than saying, hey, you can do this, man. You can do this. I got you. I believe.
This man is so pro-life that he's like, yeah, I'm pro-life. I'm pro-baby being born into a pile of trash in the gutter, in the actual gutter. Oh, you're bleeding out in behind a dumpster? Well, I believe you can rise to the occasion. Like, what callous? It's callous, it's cruel. And not only that, like, they would not accept this for, like any conservative man would never accept being forced to be pregnant. Like, I know that that's like a hypothetical at this point, where, like, given where our technology is, but like, if you were like, hey, conservative, I won't, you know, you're somewhat responsible for my son being in a coma and his kidneys are damaged and dying. We gotta hook you up to this guy over here, because, you know, you're somewhat responsible for his condition, and he's gonna use your body for the next 9 months in order to fully recover and not die. Like, no Republican man would ever be like, yes, that is okay. That is fine. But they support this because they know it'll never happen to them. You know? They know that their rights will never be infringed in this way.
Even you. But the left is obsessed with something, and it's death. I thought it was weird when I first heard it too, but the more you look into it, the more and more and more it seems to be coming to fruition and to be true. Look at this, for instance. The left and Democrats mostly preach.
Just real quick before you give that example. Damn, this is crazy. Mothers in states with abortion bans nearly 3 times more likely to die. That's wild. It's almost like you don't give a shit if mothers die. I wonder who's in the death cult here. Wow. Let's see here. Just real quick. Okay, by the numbers, the report found that the maternal mortality rates in states with bans was significantly higher than in supportive states. In 2018, the maternal mortality rate in banned states was nearly 2 times higher than in supportive states. By 2021, it was 2.4 times higher. Wow. Maternal mortality weighed heaviest against women of color. Native American women's maternal mortality rates were 4.5 times higher than that of white women, and black women's rates were 2.6 times the rate of white women. So, like, twice as many mothers died in childbirth if they were white, 4 times as many, like almost 5 times as many women died in childbirth if they were Native American, and almost 3 times as many women died in childbirth if they were black. That's crazy. And you have the gall to be like, oh, the left is in favor of death. Your policy is killing mothers like crazy. They want that. Well, yeah, it teaches a woman where her place is. Quiet and away from their husbands, all right? Look up Republican state death rate. Let's see. Excess death rates for Republican and Democratic registered voters in Florida and Ohio during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's see. Weird. Let's just see the results here. Between January 1st, 2018 and December 31st, 2021, there were 538,159 individuals in Ohio and Florida who died at age 25 years or older in the study sample. The median age at death was 78 years. Overall, the excess death rate for Republican voters was 2.8 percentage points, or 15% higher than the excess death rate for Democratic voters. After May 1st, 2021, when vaccines were available to all adults, the excess death rate gap between Republican and Democratic voters widened from 0.9 percentage points to 7.7 percentage points in the adjusted analysis. The excess death rate among Republican voters was 43% higher than the excess death rate among Democratic voters. The gap in excess death rates between Republican and Democratic voters was larger in counties with lower vaccination rates and was primarily noted in voters residing in Ohio. It's almost like your political party is literally killing like 50% more people, depending on the circumstances. 50% if it's just vaccines. 100% more if it's mothers, 200% more if it's certain kinds of mothers, and 500% more if it's other kinds of mothers. I wonder who's in the death cult. These are Republican policies and talking points killing people.
Access to abortion up until the point of birth. That is horrendous and abhorrent on multiple levels to begin with. But what is something else that they also preach? They preach the mutilation and castration of children under the age of 18 under the guise of gender-affirming care, essentially saying...
I love how he's like, oh, the left is actually a death cult, and then like references things that don't result in people dying.
That they will not be able to repopulate. They practice and preach abortions on demand. They practice and preach...
Oh, that's right. I forgot the video was about repopulation rates. So that was his way of getting like an anti-trans jab in there, you know?
Preach gender-affirming care, sterilization of children, and they practice very clearly.
Fun fact, again, no form of gender-affirming care results in the sterilization of children. Not a single one. If you're on HRT for like 10 years, maybe that would result in you being sterile, but generally speaking, all you have to do is go off of HRT. And also, generally speaking, you aren't starting HRT at 8 years old. You're starting it at like 12 minimum, really.
Clearly, the destruction of the nuclear family, saying that you don't need to have a mother and father in the house, that you don't need to have a lot of these things. And while, yes, some people can grow up to be just fine with a single-parent household, why not preach the best chance is to have two parents in the home, being able to watch over the kids, be able to teach.
Because leftists already know this. This is the thing, right? Conservatives keep talking about like, oh, why aren't leftists talking about the need for two parents in the household? We do. We do, actually. It's pretty basic, like a pretty basic understanding, because like you can't live anywhere in America without a 2-income household, whether or not you're married, whether or not you're like living with your partner and or just roommates. Like, you need multiple people just to be able to afford an apartment. Like, having an extra pair of hands while raising a child helps so much. No lefty is like, actually, I prefer single parent households. Like, that's not a thing lefties do, right? What lefties do advocate for, however, is that if there are single parent households, they should get extra help when it comes to financially supporting themselves and their child, because supporting yourself and finding a place to live and work and get the childcare you need in order to work requires that you have extra help to pay for the daycare, to pay for the place you live, food for the baby, etc. You need the extra help because of the economic circumstances that Republicans impose on working people. So yeah, while it does help to have a 2-income household, Republicans are the ones who want to make it impossible to have a 1-parent household. With the idea, by the way, being that if you make it impossible for a 1-parent household to exist, you'll facilitate the marriage of more people, which they see as a net good for society. Which I feel like I don't have to explain how, like, financially coercing people into getting married is probably not great for the people involved or the baby involved. But, you know.
Teach the kids, be able to provide for the children. And yes, in today's society, having 2 incomes is better than 1. In a traditional household, obviously 1 parent stays home and 1 parent goes to work, but it sets the standard of stable.
Wait, no 2-parent household has that these days. And if you are able to have a household where 1 parent stays home to do childcare, like, that other job is definitely middle class. Like, you can't do that on a working class budget.
Stabilization, and the left is the party of chaos, folks. We talk about this a lot.
Like, hell, even during like the 1950s and 60s, the golden era of like the nuclear family where like the mom stayed home and the dad went to work, like, even back then it was like this was a fiction. Most families still had to work with 2 incomes. It was just a slightly more attainable vision for middle class families.
Every societal norm that we as society hold close to us, the left wants to take, abolish, or manipulate in some disgusting fashion to the point that is unrecognizable. And this is true across all standards. I gave you 3 of those examples, and how is it evidenced? Simple as this. Party of chaos. What is the number one thing that throughout all of human history we have known to be concrete? That there are 2 genders. Male.
Wrong, my dude. Yo, check it out, folks. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen my content before, you're about to see one of my favorite things to pull out. All right? You're about to see one of my favorite things. The PBS gender map. Now, for those of you who are unaware, PBS had a show called Independent Lens. All right? Now, Independent Lens put together a small, interesting resource back in 2015, which is an interactive map of different societies around the planet at different time periods and in different ways having more than 2 genders. This is true of basically every place on the planet. You can find all kinds. The travesti, the guevadoche in the Dominican Republic. You can find all kinds of different gender categories for folks. Gender is a social construct. This is why we have societies that had multiple gender categories. The idea that, like, for all of human history, for all time, humans had this static understanding of gender as 2, only 2 genders, is incorrect. It's just incorrect. Yeah, here you go, Somnia Static. And like this, the map is not comprehensive. Like, it's just a starting place. But like, how many are on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 different gender diverse cultures from around the world at different times and places across human history. Like, I don't know, bro. Seems like you might have gotten that one wrong, actually. Or maybe he thinks that people in other places are just too primitive to understand that there are only two genders. My money would go on that one, I guess. Good night, Gamer G.
Male and female. And there you go, folks. It's laid out right and clear in front of you. One party wants to advance the human race. The other party wants to pretty much destroy it from all available evidence that I could find. But listen, folks, that's all I got for you today. If you could do me a huge favor, real quick, hit the like button on the video, hit the follow button.
Wait, can I? Damn it! I wanted to make these annotations disappear. I feel like this is Mike right here. Like, someone take a screenshot of this and show it to Mike, okay? Anyway, now you all know that Dennis Prager's son exists and he makes subpar conservative content.